Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the CBS Colorado studios. We continue to follow this breaking news right now here on CBS News Colorado as firefighters continue cleaning up a multi-vehicle crash near Morrison. We understand right now the latest information is that one person has died and the truck driver has been transported to a hospital. Here's a look from Copter as well. This accident happened I-70 westbound near Morrison, near mile marker 256. In terms of traffic impacts right now, this is having a huge traffic mess right now all along the I-70 corridor. Both directions of I-70, again, between Morrison and Evergreen, are closed right now because first responders are responding to the scene, which has also included several spot fires, not just at the accident scene, but also on the sides of the road right now. Let's check in with our newest reporter, Andrew Hobner. He is live on the scene right now. Andrew, where are you, and how's it looking where you're at right now?
Yeah, Brian, we are just off of I-70, Highway 40 to the left of me and I-70 to the right. We're between mile markers 257 and 258. You can actually see the mile markers out to Idaho Springs and Grand Junction just to the left of that on the right shoulder. You can see exactly where this accident occurred. The remains of that one vehicle behind the oil tanker, and then the oil tanker itself, which has a portion of it essentially blown off. That dark spot all over the pavement that you're seeing, that is petroleum. That is exactly why the hazmat team is out here. There is crews that are going to be out here for a decent chunk of the late morning and the early afternoon. And it is important to mention, as you said leading into this, that there were spot fires on both sides of the highway. That's why you are seeing so many emergency vehicles on the eastbound side of 70 as well as the westbound side too. Now, as we did get confirmation, one fatality. The second person that was injured was the driver of the semi. They have been transported out to an area hospital. Both sides, of course, going to be closed for the foreseeable future. They're hopeful, transit authorities are, that this is not going to impact the evening commute, but it is looking very likely at this point that we may see disruptions to your afternoon commutes and even your evening commutes on I-70. Now, if we can pan the camera, over to the right side here, you can actually see the amount of traffic on both sides here of Highway 40. This is now becoming the main thoroughfare for everybody that cannot get onto 70. We faced significant traffic on Highway 6 trying to get here, Kevin Hartfield and myself, my photographer, and it wasn't necessarily anything that was bumper to bumper. The traffic still moved in a relatively decent way, but it was very clearly slow. The dino lots, the woolly mammoth lots over here, just off of I-70, essentially filled emergency vehicles coming and going in that area as well. And you can just see, if we go one more time over to 70, the size of the emergency response. A multitude of agencies here: Fairmount, Pleasant View, Arvada Fire, Hazmat, as we mentioned, from Jeffco's Sheriff. CSP is here as well. They are going to be taking over this scene, and we have not yet seen their public information officer. Going to chat with them for a little more information once they do arrive here, but we'll leave you with the visual of the crash itself. You can see that one vehicle behind the oil tanker, the spray of fuel, and even just to the right side, you can see a little bit of scarring there from where the spot fire was on that right shoulder. There's also a little bit of concern about whether or not some fuel entered the river just on the left side here of eastbound I-70. But for those of you that are making a commute either up into the mountains or down the other side, find alternate means, because this area of 70 is going to be closed for quite some time. Brian?
Really quickly, in terms of for our viewers that are watching right now, to your right is I-70 and just to your left is State Route 40. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. And have you seen any more firefighters spraying any more water on the scene right now and also to the sides of the hill? We also saw some firefighters doing that earlier, very, very concerned, as you mentioned, of the fuel that was possibly leaking. Are you seeing more fire activity in terms of that?
Not any fire activity. We definitely are a little bit blessed that the wind is not too heavy today. That was a concern as we were driving up, wondering if there was substantial wind coming down this portion of 70, whether or not there was opportunity for the fire to spread. But it is, for all intents and purposes, out right now as one member of the Highland Rescue Team passes us on State Route 40. But you are seeing a little bit of cleanup occurring just off to the left side there of the oil tanker. We have seen fire crews spraying down water on that side as hazmat really gets ready to mop up all of the remainder of what is here on I-70 westbound.
Okay, Andrew Hobner, thank you so much for that update. We appreciate it. Again, if you're just joining us right now, both directions of I-70 in the foothills between Morrison and Evergreen are closed right now because of this, what was an earlier car fire involved one tanker truck and one car. Again, from what we understand, the driver of the tanker is taken to the hospital with injuries. The driver, another driver was taken and was fatally killed from what happened earlier. We're still piecing together exactly what happened here from earlier this morning. But again, if you're heading toward I-70, just be aware of this. Avoid the area if you can, because traffic is definitely a slowdown, not just in this area, but it's now trickling down into the foothills area and near West Pleasant View as well, all along I-70, just because people are trying to figure out what's going on right now. So that's exactly what's happening. Let's check in with our traffic reporter, Brian Sherrod. He's showing us again where this is and really how to get around it, if there is a way to get around it, Brian, because it is a mess out there this morning.
And Brian, I've been looking at alternate routes to see the best way to go around it, because if you look right now, like we were mentioning before, between Genesee and, of course, in the Morrison area by 6th Avenue, you can see just issues here. It's all in the purple. The roadways are still closed. Now, as I was checking, it did say that multiple lanes, of course, this area, when I was looking on codetrip.com, it was saying that it was going to take about 38 minutes to drive around the area if you are driving around the area. So I tried looking at other routes just to see the easiest way, but it looks like all the other routes are just pretty backed up right now. And because of this fire tanker truck, and like you mentioned, up to 6 vehicles, just such a mess out there. It's just backed up for miles. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you a CDOT map of the area just so you can get a chance to see a little bit closer of what I'm talking about. You're going to be able to see on that map just that area is just still backed up, and you want to make sure you're being extra cautious as you're traveling through this area. Really, just the multiple cars, we're seeing multiple pictures of it and just how much of an issue it's actually causing. I'm still, like I said, digging in to just find out the exact routes you can take, because some of the routes I was looking at looks like it could take you at least an hour or two, and you just really don't want to get stuck in this, of course, because everyone's kind of stuck in the middle. Brian, I'm going to keep continuing to dig and look into those maps just so I can get a quicker photo and a quicker view. But if you look right there on the CDOT maps, like we just mentioned, look at that. It is literally stop and go, not really able to go through the area, can't really reroute around there as well. It's a problem spot really for the last few hours. And when I went to go ahead and look on Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Twitter page, they were saying they're not sure how long it will take to clean up this area. I mean, it's going to take a couple more hours is what they're saying is impacting your commute. So right now, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and continue to keep looking to find a better alternate route. I'm going to toss it back to you for now so I can keep digging. I just want to give you the best route possible that's not going to get you, again, stuck in this big purple spot that's a road closed right now.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a mess for quite some time. Brian, thank you so much. In terms of the official alternative route, right now it's basically State Route 40, which runs parallel to I-70. But as we saw from Andrew Hobner's live shot as well, that's also starting to back up. And many people are also trying to get into these side streets, basically down south through Genesee, perhaps onto 74 and to 93 as well. But as you approach Morrison, that's starting to pick up as well. So people are just trying to figure out a way to get past this accident scene right now. But again, this is going to be the scene for quite some time. Let's check in with Joel Hillen. He's at the desk. He first brought you this breaking news, told us about it for quite some time during the last hour. Joel, we appreciate all that work that you put into it. Bring us any updates and up to speed on what you can provide for us, and maybe if you've heard anything on what exactly happened here from earlier this morning.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to piece together, and I think that's what investigators are going to work on now, that they've got the fire contained and they have the one injured driver that has been taken from the scene, is to figure out what happened, and that's going to be the accident reconstruction. As you can see from Copter here, just how far that extends. We had Andrew Hobner there along the side of the road, Highway 40. That is the alternate route right now along the right side of your screen, and then this is the ground shot that we're getting from Kevin Hartfield. We got crews out there, Brian, along I-70 to just give us some better information, and Andrew was able to quickly talk with Colorado State Patrol and get us some better information, and that is that one person has died. You can see that car that's right behind the fuel tanker truck there, and then the driver of that fuel tanker was injured and transported from the scene. There is a long sort of streak of where they have been putting water on this, as well as where that has burned, and Kevin was panning that for you, but I think the better view here is from Copter, and as it comes around, you you can see that burn streak that then goes into the median from the westbound lanes of traffic into those eastbound lanes of traffic. And if Copter pulled out even more, it's a little farther up along the eastbound route there, but that seemed to pour off onto the hill there in the grassy area, and that's where we saw firefighters there working earlier. But all of that traffic that we saw on I-70 getting pinched down onto Highway 40. So we're glad that Brian is looking up some alternate routes for us. I want to show you my computer because I want to show you some of the pictures that came in immediately after this. This was the original tweet that was sent out by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. And I'll scroll down here and you can see some of the pictures that they have uploaded. That is basically the site that we're getting from photojournalist Kevin Hartfield. But take a look at some of these pictures right after. I mean, active flames going on. Look at this huge plume of smoke that extended up into those bluebird skies that we're experiencing today in the Denver metro area. Here's Rob Whitwer with this picture that you could see of the smoke that was pouring from that. I want to show you some of the videos real quick that we got into the newsroom. Let's blow this up here so that you can see it even better. But this is right after it happened, of the smoke freshly pouring down from that scene. And look at the flames actively burning. This is before fire crews were able to get out to the scene there and begin work on that. And take you back and show you the other fire here, the other video rather of this fire. And you can see cars were saying, nope, I want to get out of the way of all of this, because they could see that it was a fuel tanker. They could see that the fire was actively burning and they didn't want any part of that. And you can see this Honda Accord here, but all of these cars along the right shoulder there just trying to get out of the way of all of the smoke and this fire that's been happening. Again, this was an accident where one person has died. The driver of that fuel truck has been taken to the hospital. We don't know the condition. So Brian, from here at the desk, what do we talk about now going forward? What is the information that we're trying to gather? We're trying to get an idea of how long this closure is going to be in place and how it's going to impact your afternoon commute. I know a lot of folks will be heading up into the high country to take care of the great weather that we have. We've got, not just people that travel recreationally, but locally along I-70. That is right near Mother Cabrini Shrine, right near Evergreen. And so a lot of folks travel that locally as well as the commercial vehicles. And you can see all of those semis that are lined up here from our CDOT camera. The investigation now proceeds into what happened that caused this accident in the first place. That accident reconstruction requires the closure of I-70 for several hours at least, so that crews can begin the accident reconstruction and really evaluate what happened and the information that they have. Again, you only get one shot at that, which is why these closures take place in the first place. Gathering information for us on the ground is Andrew Hobner. He's your reporter in Jefferson County. He is out there and watching the situation along with photojournalist, chief photographer Kevin Hartfield, who's out there providing these pictures that you're seeing now live up there. I will say that we are just learning from Colorado State Patrol that the truck was pulled off to the side of I-70 when it was hit. And that was one of the questions that we were asking, Brian, was because this truck was pulled off all the way into the right shoulder, like how did it get hit? Did that car that was behind, were they trying to pass in that emergency lane? I mean, clearly that truck is pulled off to the side of the road. You can see there, it was not in the lane of traffic, and that's not a position that a truck that would hit would just pull off into. As you can see, that whole scene is set up there. So it appears, and that's what Colorado State Patrol is confirming to us, that the truck was pulled off to the side of the road. The question is, why was that car, which is behind it, in that lane of traffic as well? And investigators are going to work to figure that out. Copter now pulling out the shot here to give us a better idea of the backups that we're seeing along Highway 40. And this is the message. I talked with CDOT, with Tamara Rollison with CDOT. This is the message that she wanted to get out to everybody. And the message is this: please avoid this area for at least the next couple of hours, if at all possible. That helps the crews on the ground. That helps the folks that are kind of stuck in this mess dislodge and be able to get out of that. And it helps the crews on the ground to be able to do what they need to do in a safe manner. But we appreciate the pictures coming into the newsroom. You can continue to send those, upload those via our social media, or you can email them into the newsroom as well. We appreciate them all.
Yeah, Joel, we appreciate that. You and I have covered many accidents during this time, and this is not just one accident where you put put the car to the side as well. I mean, you involve several fire crews. This is also a hazmat situation as well. You involve CDOT too, because if there's any damage to the roadway, which it looks like there is right now, they need to take care of that. Any guardrail damage too. So this is going to be quite some time. We do not have an ETA on when this road is going to reopen. All we can tell you right now, again, as Joel mentioned it, Andrew Hobner, Brian Sherrod, please avoid this area, I-70, even in the foothills, if you're even getting close to where this is. This is near Morrison and Evergreen. Just stay away from here if you can for at least the next couple of hours, because it's going to be a mess. Joel, Hillen, we appreciate your updates. Thank you so much. We do want to check in with Andrew Hobner once again. He's your reporter on the scene right now, closer to what's happening out there. Brian, any new activity from what you're seeing right now? Any new updates that you can provide for us in terms of what you're noticing?
To kind of add some visual context to what Joel was talking about, that you can see the right shoulder of the highway on 70 westbound here, exactly where the accident occurred, essentially just off to the side, and then discussing, as you did, Brian, some of the actual damage to the road itself and the guardrails. You can see this big group of fire and rescue that is just off to the side, but just above them it appears to be some CDOT guys, and the guardrail damage you can see there on the left side, as well as a little bit further down towards the fire. It might be obstructed by one of the trucks that's sitting here, but you can actually see there's some bending of the guardrail there as well, and some charring from the fire individually. We chatted with CSP. They don't have a PIO that is actively out here, but they're going to come chat with us in just a little bit as they start to reconstruct what did happen here earlier this morning that created such a massive traffic disruption here. And I would imagine a lot of people probably thought, when they heard about it this morning, some memories of 2019 and that runaway truck that caused such a significant accident on this portion of 70. Odd to kind of see it happening not just on the opposite side of the highway going uphill, but also on the shoulder as well. As you can see, a lot of questions that we're going to try and get some answers for throughout the day for you, as we hope that this traffic disruption doesn't last too far into the evening hours.
Let's hope it does not. Andrew, really quickly before we let you go, sometimes during major accidents like this, a lot of people do get impatient. Have you seen any drivers perhaps going in the opposite direction, going one way, going the opposite direction of what they're supposed to? That's very dangerous. Drivers should not be doing that. I'm just curious to see if you've seen that, or if there's been any other CDOT crews or Colorado State Patrol crews hoping to get this traffic moving along.
Yeah, it's actually been very cordial up here on 40. If nothing else, a lot of folks kind of driving the overlook here with their phones out to take a picture or a video of what's happened. But as we mentioned, and I'll walk out of the way of the shot so you can see, the traffic here isn't stop and go. I mean, it's kind of been a consistent 5 to 10 miles an hour. I know that's cold comfort for people that are trying to get somewhere, but it is a pretty normal and standard flow pretty much through 40. And then on the opposite side, you can actually see on that downhill, and I know we've gone to it a couple of times before, just the line of trucks on the downhill portion of eastbound 70 that are completely stopped. But the highway has been closed down for some time at this point, and so far out, couple of exits out, that there isn't actually anybody that can try and get through here. This portion of the highway on I-70 is completely opened up, and then everybody else just kind of pacing along on 40 as normal.
Yeah. All right. Andrew Hobner, we appreciate those updates as well. Stay safe out there as drivers get through that area. Again, just to recap really quickly before we let you go, major accident along Interstate 70, rather. This is between Morrison and Evergreen. The accident itself is on the westbound side of I-70, pretty much on the base of the Mother Cabrini Shrine, if you're familiar with that area. But both directions of I-70 are closed right now. The alternate route is going to be State Route 40, but that's also backed up as well, as we saw from Andrew Hobner's live shot. One driver has been killed from this. There was a driver also involved in a tanker truck that has been taken to the hospital. Fire crews do remain on the scene. CDOT crews are there as well, and Colorado State Patrol, all there trying to piece together exactly what happened here. But again, if you could stay away from I-70 near Morrison and Evergreen, even toward the foothills just west of Denver here, just do that, because this is going to be like this for quite some time. We'll also bring the very latest on CBS Colorado News at noon. For now, have a good afternoon.